Let's bring in FreedomWorks chief economist Steve Moore. Steve, great to see you. Biden created an environment that gives these unions more mojo than they've had in a long time. And we're talking about pretty tight labor market, but inflation. And this actually could create a wage price spiral, which will cause inflation to truly get out of control. Yay or nay?
Well, there's a lot there, Dagan. I mean, I'm personally very conflicted by this because, on the one hand, let's take that offer that Ford just put on the table. For what was it? Did you say six? I think he said 16% over 4 years. Yep. Well, wait a minute. What was it? 16, yeah. Well, wait a minute. If we have 4 or 5% inflation, then those workers are going to lose, real pay. That's what happened in the 70s under Jimmy Carter and Jerry Ford. Inflation was so high that workers thought they were bidding up their wages, but they weren't keeping. This is why inflation is such a sinister force in our economy, because nobody, David knows this. You want a stable currency that holds its value. We don't have that right now, so everybody's kind of spitting in the dark. They don't know what the prices will be. So I kind of find myself in sympathy with these unions saying we don't want to get screwed again.
Steve, let me ask you about this Union Joe business that he was so hot on when he came into his presidency. How many union members in the fossil fuel industry have lost their jobs because of this guy? I mean, how much better did blue-collar workers do in real wages back during the Trump administration than they've done now? I mean, does he really have any bragging rights with regard to calling himself Union Joe?
Boy, David, that's such a good point. This guy who says he's done so much for unions, well, union members have lost money under Biden. You know the statistic, the average worker has lost about $4,000 in purchasing power, and a lot of those people are union members. So it's a really good point. It's not rhetoric, it's what are you doing? I mean, the unions never did better than under Ronald Reagan because the economy boomed and everybody got higher real wages, and same thing under Trump. And so, look, there's another point here, though, about these strikes and potential strikes, is that when you have a president in the Oval Office who's just basically, they're helping these unions organize and basically almost encouraging them to strike. So they feel like they have this friend in the White House who's going to take their side in every labor dispute. And that only emboldens the unions to go on strike more, which is something we don't want to see in this country. We want to see harmony between management and labor unions, not disharmony. And I think in a lot of ways, Biden, in fact, they've said they're helping these unions organize. They're helping them, with all of their, quote, rights. Well, what do you think the union bosses think? Oh, Biden's going to get us a deal here.
Steve, we were going to play you a clip from Biden's remarks today about the jobs report, but it's the same old lies from the same old coot running the country, so we're going to move on. The Biden administration is adopting a policy to, quote, accelerate affordable, equitable, and efficient electrification of American homes, businesses, and transportation. Essentially, electrify everything, and that is going to double or triple America's home energy bills. What the hey? What are they doing?
This is really a dangerous thing, America. Wake up to what the Greens and the Biden administration are talking about. They want to put the entire U.S. economy on the electric grid system. They want to put every hospital, every school bus, every truck, every car. A lot of people use gas for their heating at home. No, that's going to all be on the electric grid system. That's crazy. It's putting the entire eggs of the American economy in one basket. So what happens if the grid system goes down even temporarily? What if we have problems with the grid system like they have in California, where you have some rolling brownouts and blackouts? That would completely destroy the American economy. I think it is one of the most dangerous things. You want to have multiple sources of energy, and basically Biden says the whole system will be on the grid. And yes, prices will rise for your energy costs at home. Your utility bills could double or triple.
And the cost. I mean, we bought a house in Cape Cod about 25 years ago and had the electric baseboard heating. it was so much more expensive than gas heat. I mean, it's just the expenses. It absolutely makes no sense. I mean, maybe that'll change in the future. Maybe when we get, but the change, the process of change is not, people in government are not taking into consideration the pain that we are going to be taking as a result of that change.
Well, you're right, David. And you know, as I said before, you want an energy system that uses all sorts of different forms of energy. We should use our gas, our coal, our oil, our nuclear power, our wind, our solar, geothermal, and let them compete. By the way, that brings down the cost. But I've said this so many times on Fox Business News, and I'm going to say it again. Folks, get a generator in your house because you're going to need one, because these crazies are going to take the whole system down, and you're going to want an alternative being on the grid system. I really believe that, Dagan.
Yep. Oh, my favorite is where you have we're going to talk about it later, but there are trucking companies that are using diesel generators to charge their electric trucks in California. Can't make it up.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, I thought they were going to use less diesel.
Right. Yeah. The federal, they're outlawing diesel trucks in California. Federal student loan interest resumes today. Payments are supposed to resume in October to borrowers' chagrin. Remember when Biden promised to forgive thousands in loans for all borrowers right before the midterms? Listen.
My campaign for president, I made a commitment. I made a commitment that would provide student debt relief. And I'm honoring that commitment today. Using the authority Congress granted the Department of Education, we will forgive $10,000 in outstanding federal student loans.
Steve, people did not pay their student loans for 3.5 years and didn't accrue interest. It's a $400 billion bailout. They're going to shut up and pay up from this day forward.
No, they're not. No, they're not. I mean, if you've got a president in the White House saying we're going to bail you out and you're not going to have to pay your student loans, I don't think people are going to be suckers again, like, you know, people like my wife who dutifully paid off their student loan. I mean, the incentive now, right, Dagan and David, is not to pay your student loan. And then, you know, the next president will come along. Maybe it's second term for Biden. And guess what? Oh, you don't have to pay that loan after all. I mean, they're playing us for suckers here. Both, and the people who are paying off their student loans the way they should are the ones who are kind of the suckers here. And of course, the taxpayers are the suckers too.
If you do things the legal way, like legal migrants, for example, millions of them are trying to do, they're still waiting for their green card. Suddenly they're going to be given it from Governor Hochul and so forth. I mean, they're really perverse incentives in this system. It's got to change. Steve Moore.
That's right.
Good stuff. Thank you.